Testing the roommate. Testing the roommate.
All right. Do you want me to call her now? Can I call her now? Okay. All right. Okay. Oh. We're gonna. How do we call her? She's not in our contact. New conversations. New conversation. Oh.
Testing roommate.
Technical difficulty. So.
I think
We're just trying to. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah.
Like, can you hear this?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. All right.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, kind of difficult situation. No more technical. Okay, cool. So hi, Fig.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm so glad. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody.
No problem.
So yeah, so I guess we'll get started here. Kind of start with some questions that we got from. First question is, what college did you attend? What did you kind of major?
Yeah, sure. My name is Fig, and I studied systems engineering at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. And for those who don't know what systems engineering is, it's kind of it's a special type of engineering that deals with how to maximize and optimize systems in general, whatever those things may be, whether it's a computer system or any other kind of system. You could think about what a system is really, and it almost could be just about anything. And so systems engineering applies mathematics, statistics, a really analytical way of it's a really analytical way of applying math and science to decision making for engineers.
So like a lot of the students, what they're. How did you figure out that NASA, all of that type, that's what you're.
My introduction into NASA was a little bit random, actually. It wasn't something that I didn't have a dream of growing up and becoming an astronaut or anything like that. I kind of fell into this. It was a happy accident, I call it, because when I was in school, I was studying systems engineering, and a good friend of mine, she actually started with NASA before I did. And she was leaving and starting something new, and so she came to me and said, hey, some people that I work with, they were asking for recommendations, and I immediately thought of you. And so she was the one that got me involved. She was the one that brought the position to me. And I mean, I couldn't be happier with how that went and everything. But I will say that it's networking and using your network. Sometimes things come up that you would never expect would happen, and those are the things, that's why it's so important to build your network out and to have a great network and make sure that you're socializing with people in your industry and people in fields that are maybe similar but not entirely the same thing that you're doing, because I think that's a great way to learn, and it's a great way to connect with people in the workplace, to find new jobs. I've noticed that the best opportunities are the ones that come from people that I already know.
Kind of wanted to know what exactly,
Yeah.
kind of like describe what you do.
That's a great question. It is such a funny term. It's similar to astronaut. I think it's pretty cool myself. But a NASA data naut, it is a specialist in data science and data analytics. And we are the NASA Data Nauts program is part of NASA's Open Innovation programs for women in data. And so my class, we're a team of about 50 people, mostly women, but not all women, and we're from places all over the world. I think I'm the only one here in Washington, D.C., and there are people, some on my team from Europe, South America, and Asia even, and we work on different innovative new thinking systems and processes, a lot of data analytics, data science, and that falls under big data. NASA has a lot of data. If you just think about what NASA does in general, they do experiments. They do experimentation. They go to outer space, and when they do these things, what are they doing? They're collecting data, right? And so, how do you turn data, that huge amounts of numbers, into something that can be useful, something that tells a story, something that says, well, we know these numbers tell us this. And so that is where data science comes in. It bridges the gap between this mass amount of data that you're collecting and something that can be useful to tell a story for the future. And so yeah, NASA has a whole lot of data, and we work on individual projects. We work on group projects in an effort to kind of demystify a lot of this stuff. Another thing that we do, a lot of us do different things in the community, and we are advocates for women and diverse groups of people that maybe don't have the historically traditional demographic that has been associated with NASA, for example. The young people are the future, and so it's very important for NASA to be able, in this digital social media age, to be able to reach lots of groups of different people so that they're sharing their message. They're sharing all of their messages about space and the world and, our ecosystem and Earth and things like that. And so we kind of come in there as well, and we help kind of bridge those gaps and do a lot of footwork on the ground to get young people and different groups of people excited about STEM and space and Earth.
So hardcore. So cool because two different spectrum challenges the stereotype of both. So have you ever also had someone undermine are and what you do?
Yes, unfortunately. I remember in particular there was one time when, so I started modeling when I was 19, and let's see, but I've always been interested in engineering and science and mathematics and things like that. That was always my path. I was very competitive in school. I always knew that I was, I knew what I was good at, but I knew that I liked what I was good at as well. And when I was in high school, I went to a summer, every summer, I went to this program that it's called the SMASH Academy, the Summer Math and Science Honors Academy at UC Berkeley in California. And that was where I really found out what it meant to be an engineer. I really found out what it meant to be someone who works in STEM. Because before that, I came from a relatively poor, low-income family, and I was living in the inner city in San Francisco. And I had no idea. I went to public school my whole life. My father's in the military, and so I bounced around a lot, going to different public schools. I went to 9 different schools growing up. And so even though I was doing well in school, I had no idea maybe what I wanted to be until I went to this program. And it all kind of came together for me. So it was very important for me to be able to continue in college that path because it was always something that I wanted to do. When I started modeling, that was another dream of mine that kind of came into fruition that I was very happy about, of course. But it did present some interesting juxtapositions in the workplace for me that over time I've had to navigate because there's no blueprint for doing something like that usually. And my very first internship, I was in Los Angeles in California for my very first internship between the summers of freshman and sophomore year. And it was like a business internship for a small boutique, up and coming small boutique men's fashion company. I thought that I could marry my 2 interests with this internship. It was something great for my resume, but it was also something that kind of spoke to my interests in fashion. And it wasn't until years later when I was speaking to the manager who I'd become friends with that he told me, and I think he thought that he was giving me a compliment, but it actually was very hurtful because it kind of took away it took away everything that I thought that I was contributing to this internship. He had told me that he did only hire me because he thought that I was attractive. And so it was very minimizing, and it felt like all of, the qualifications that I had for this internship did not matter. And so I'd say that was an experience that I had that does, I think touches on not, a little bit of the discrimination that you may experience. It was unique. It was unique in my situation only, but it was a little unfortunate, but it did give me like a drive to never want that to happen again. Like I want my work to speak for itself, regardless of how I look. And so when I, speak about, I for a long time I kept those 2 worlds very far apart because I was thinking that, I don't want to ever get hired again because someone thinks that I'm attractive. I want to be hired because what my resume says. And I think that that was actually something that I shouldn't have done because I kept those things very separate. I was basically living 2 lives with my job because I had these 2 very different jobs. And what has been great about the NASA Datanauts is that they have made it so that I don't have to choose. I can still have these both public platforms, and it's okay. It's okay to be a model. It's okay to work in fashion. You can celebrate being diverse. You can celebrate being multifaceted. And, you shouldn't expect that people are going to undermine your work just because you do something that is so very far different than just, working in STEM. So I think that, if you find don't, operate under the assumption that that is something that could happen, stand in your truth and stand in everything that you are. And that has helped me. The NASA Datanauts program has helped me because I don't feel like I have to keep those 2 worlds separate anymore. I can bring them all together and it's completely okay.
I'm sure that many that start taking.
Sure.
So that's really exciting.
Shout out to San Francisco. Amberly, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Sure. So the program that I work, the NASA Datanauts program, I don't go into an office typically. I do different projects at a time. The largest project, the one that I most recently worked on, was the NASA InSight mission to Mars, and that was very exciting. My mission was I was tasked with going to the last year. I went to the launch of the NASA InSight mission to Mars. We sent up a lander, which is similar to a rover, except it's stationary. We sent it to Mars, and we haven't had very successful missions to Mars in the past. And so this would be the second successful landing that we've ever had on Mars. And we were hoping to make that happen in 2018, and we did. The mission started in May, and that's when the rocket took off to go to Mars. And 6 months later, it landed in November on the surface of Mars. And so during that time, I covered the event, and I was tasked with sharing that information to wider, different audiences of people. So for that, I went to the NASA Jet Propulsion Lab. Well, first I went to the Vandenberg Air Force Base, which is where the missile took off from. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Girls Who Code. It's a great national organization, but I brought them in. Yeah, I see some snaps there. Yeah. I brought them in with me because they have such a great group of girls and a great network of young people that are really interested in this kind of thing. And that's exactly where my heart lies and where my mission lies. So I brought them with me, and I did tours, met with the engineers and the scientists directly working on this mission, the ones that are responsible for absolutely everything, from project inception all the way down to the launch of the entire thing. And we met with women who work on the project, different scientists, and it was really awesome because I'm sure you guys are at a hackathon, and so you probably all have different skills and different projects that you're working on. And one of the most important things that these women were saying to me that they wanted to share is that learning how to code is so important. If you're working in STEM, if you aspire to work for NASA, learning how to code is super important, because even as scientists, a lot of them, they have to write their own programming code for the different things that they're building, for different programs, for different things that they're doing for these missions. And so just about every single woman I talk to has coding experience. And so then I go on trips for days at a time. And so my day, during these trips, I'd say, well, I got up very early. I drive out to the desert. I spend all day doing interviews and mission briefings, and then doing tours of the facilities, and then going down directly to the tarmac where the missile that's 100 feet in the air, where it's going to take off, going down, standing next to it, getting to tour that, going into mission control, going into the room where there's that big red button where if you press the button, everything stops, counting down with the crew, national press briefings, and then running around meeting different people. It's quite a busy day when it's a mission day, and then sharing those experiences with others, specifically on this mission with Girls Who Code. And then going back home, I work remotely with my teams. So I have a home office here, and then I also have an office downtown. I walk there pretty much every day. It's about 15, 20 minutes from here. So I walk down, I write up articles, I do different blog posts for that, and then I do a lot of content creation as well for those things, and then usually, because my full-time job is modeling, and then usually after that I'll have something else to go do for the rest of the day. I just got back from out of town, so every single day looks different for me, and my schedule has to be made up of. It requires a lot of different effort from different agents on the modeling side, but then also project managers and people that I coordinate with on the NASA Datanaut side. So every single day can look a little bit different, which I personally love. It's something that I've always wanted in my job, is that there's a lot of flexibility, and the Datanauts, the mission, the work that I do, it provides that.
Amazing. Keep going in detail. We have for one more.
My name is Sagan. Question is, to
Oh, that's great. It takes a lot of effort. I have to be, because for the most part, I have to be responsible for my time myself. And every single day, like this is something I've had to work out over time to make sure that I get everything done when I need it to be done. I wake up at the same time every single day, and even though oftentimes I do work from home, I try to never sit in home clothes for the whole day if I don't have something else that I have going on. At least 3 or 4 times a week, I will go down to my office to make sure that, you know, when you make it a destination, it becomes a little bit easier for you to make sure that you're keeping up with your routine. Every single day, I have a task list of things that have to be done by the end of the day. And so that also helps with making sure that, you know, you're staying on schedule, and that you're maximizing the use of your time. Emailing is a huge thing. Making sure that I'm always on top of my emails is important, because there's a lot of, when you work remote, there's a lot of back and forth to coordinate, you know, when things are going to happen and when things are, when people are expecting things from you. So I'd say over time, I've just gotten used to that routine, making sure that I always respond to my emails within 24 hours, at the latest 48 hours. And yeah, making sure that I get up and have some strong routine with, you know, the times that I'm getting up, and the, you know, sometimes I don't have like a very typical schedule with like the Monday through Friday thing. I work on the weekends a lot. I travel a lot. And so you know, there are often times where, you know, if I work all weekend long, you know, I'll take my break Wednesday, or I'll take my break Tuesday, or something like that. But making sure that there's no more than, you know, 2 or 3 days where, you know, if I don't have a weekend, then I'll have my weekend somewhere in the middle of the week. You know, so making sure that there's no longer than that, no time longer than that you're using for, you know, to relax and to take a break from work. So I'd say, yeah, those are the biggest things that I do. Making sure that, you know, my desktop is organized, my files are organized. I'd say in general, I've just always relatively been like I know what things are. I know, you know, how I like to organize pretty much everything. But I'd say it takes, you know, a self-starter. And not everybody, you know, likes that kind of a thing. Some people really do like, you know, having someone to answer to every single day, and I totally understand that. But if, you know, you're a self-starter, you can be responsible for the time that you have, the time that you dedicate to these kinds of things. I don't think it gets to be too difficult, especially when you love what you do. You know, when you're having a great time, you know, it doesn't necessarily feel like, you know, a burden, or it doesn't necessarily feel like so much work. And I've been a NASA data not now for a year, and it's been the most rewarding, exciting job. And I'm very happy with how, you know, things have progressed and the things that I've been able to do, and the excitement about it that I get to share with, you know, students like you. It's been very rewarding. And like I said before, I never dreamt about, you know, going into space or doing anything like that. But now I've met women who that is their career path. You know, maybe they've been in the game like 15, 20 years, longer than I have. But now I get to speak with them and demystify exactly what it is that they do, what their paths have been. And I get to share that with the, you know, the communities that I'm able to reach and speak to. And that has been very awesome, just for the simple fact that, now I know that it's not a crazy idea or dream to have. It's something that you guys could do. It's something that I could do. You know, even becoming an astronaut, if that's something that, it's not something that people normally dream of after the age of 10, or it's not something you hear about often. But you could look up the requirements for applications and applying right now, and I can guarantee that some of you guys have the skills and the qualifications that would lead you to becoming to getting on that path. And I think that's extremely exciting, because that's not a dream that I grew up with, but it's a dream that I now see is possible for me, and it's something that I could definitely see for myself in the future.
Well, thank you for taking the
No problem. No problem. I hope you guys have a great hackathon, and it was so great to talk to you all. And if anybody has any more questions, or if you want to just reach out, please get in contact with me. I'm at Fig O'Reilly on social media. I'd be happy to speak with any of you guys if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, any other advice. So I'm an open book.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you guys. Have a great hackathon.
Bye.
Exactly. Yeah, which has